Hi everyone, welcome back to Safehouse Chats. I'm your co-host Aris.
I am still your co-host Snap.
That's a good thing.
Yay.
And this is the second part of our Sly 3 coverage. Make sure you listen to episode 4A if you haven't already. Last time we covered the prologue from Venice to Australian outback. We're just picking up from Holland.
Holland all the way to the end of the entire Sly Cooper series.
Yes.
The grand finale that has never been continued in any way, shape, or form. Kind of sad, really. But as we'll get to it, I think it works pretty well as a definitive ending that no one ever revisited.
You'll be singing a different tune in one episode.
I don't know what you mean. This is the grand finale of our podcast, too.
I do have to give a fair warning to our listeners that I do feel like our energy today is a bit extra crackhead energy.
I don't.
It's a bit silly goofy.
I feel normal.
Okay. Can't relate.
We'll see if it lasts.
Yeah. So with that out of the way, let's just jump into Flight of Fancy. I'll just go ahead and say right off the bat, the intro cutscene here sets the tone of it being an adorable episode.
Yes. It's interesting to note, this is one of the few times that the cutscene was changed from this PS2 version to the PS3 version. Because I definitely remember you could see that Bentley and Penelope were chatting to each other, but on your little CRT television, you couldn't see what they were talking about, and the camera didn't linger. Whereas this is recut so that you can actually see word for word the adorably mid-2000s misspelled, missing letters, simple emoticons, very accurate. I'm sure there were plenty of people in the Sucker Punch dev studio who were having similar discussions online.
I don't recall this, but, kudos to Sanzaru for making this change.
Moment of silence for that statement.
Nobody clapped.
No. Everyone's sitting at home. Be quiet for a second.
Then great, because I was just thinking that this is a great introduction to Penelope, especially when compared to how they handled the guru and his introduction. And I feel like the online chat room thing and the profile picture joke are just cutie.
The profile picture joke could be a little bit off color, but what gets me every single time about it is how bad they both did it. That it isn't digital manipulation software. You can see the tape where they clearly cut out a physical photograph of themselves and Penelope's hand is in frame. Yeah. That's what elevates it. That is a touch of pure genius.
Let's just say Penelope is not going to be on MTV's Cutfish anytime soon.
Well, it worked is the thing.
I love how Bentley is crush mode when he sees it. And it's
instant.
Okay.
The other very important note about this cutscene, aside from Sly's pilot license, which we'll get into later, is explicitly, let me state this clearly and slowly for any game developers in the audience, Penelope is better at RC piloting and engineering than Bentley. The hook here is that Bentley needs RC stuff to get into the vault, but he is not good enough at RC piloting, and he needs someone who is better at RC piloting than he is. What a concept.
I mean, I'm all about anyone being better than Bentley at anything, okay? But yeah, of course she's better. That's part of her character.
I'm just saying it would be silly if a different script had Penelope be worse at STEM stuff than Bentley, and that would come off as a bit stupid and, dare I say, sexist. But I mean, I don't know why I'm saying any of this. It's like a black hole. The closer we get to it, the more evident Like, we're veering up to it.
He's getting ready, y'all. He's filling up the tank, y'all. He's getting ready.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine.
And hey, listen, I was like losing my shit before we started recording because I was like, one episode left.
Oh.
And you seemed like you had clinical depression. But now
The stages
you're
of
the
grief.
one that keeps... You're the one that keeps bringing it up.
I'll do my best to stop and focus on this. It's a good time. It's a good episode of a good game. We're having fun.
Honestly, like all jokes apart, it's a great middle episode.
Yes.
I didn't really grasp its importance, I guess, but also appreciate it until I started thinking about it from like a thematic standpoint, specifically through the lens of gender dynamics.
Yes.
Which, like we both know, I've kind of like popped off several times on Tumblr about like multiple essays on
This episode specifically.
the gender dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I just think it's fascinating. Like there's so much to discuss about, but like I don't want to unpack it now.
Okay.
Because we didn't really take a thematic approach to our coverage. And there's just so much to say, but just like for the sake of time, I'll just briefly say that. And I'm gonna like kind of double back here and go back to her being better at the RC stuff than Bentley.
Right.
Because that does play a role, because it's just shown, the game goes out of its way to show what an expert Penelope is. And just like she's like the best at what she does.
Yes.
And there's no room for doubt about that until the next 2 episodes when she gets taken hostage. But the commentary here, like Penelope as a female character, dressing up as a man in order to make it in a male-dominated field. This is outstanding commentary for like a quote-unquote children's game, you know?
Yeah. Like they say at the end that the purpose of the persona was to get past age restrictions. And yet, she did not disguise herself as an older woman.
No.
She disguised herself as an older man.
Exactly. And just generally, like, this episode sets up gender stereotypes and norms to then just demolish them by exposing like masculinity for how fragile it is. And it is ultimately what made me fall in love with this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to unpack the thematics and like the commentary, but we are going to cover what unfolds, and it is all rooted in the gender dynamics.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you like this episode?
I do like this episode. Gameplay-wise, I think the biplane stuff is fine. I liked it well enough as a kid. I like it well enough now. It's not my favorite. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a good change of pace, if nothing else, in a way that not everything we're going to talk about today is a good change of pace. Sometimes they're just changes of pace. In terms of like the plotting and the characters, I think there's a lot of highlights here. I was talking last episode about how I think Sly 3 might be the funniest of the 3 of them. There's a lot of excellent exchanges and lines in this episode again. Still getting a great dynamic between the 3 of them. Carmelita is here throughout the episode. Penelope is, as we've already established, a great addition. I think it is pretty solid. Do you like the episode?
As much as I can commend it for like the topics it chooses to handle, and I 100% agree, like the biplane things, like most things about this game, I am completely neutral with. Like, I do not care for it. Like, I not caring, but like,
You don't hate it.
No, I don't hate it. However, just like with Rumble Down Under, I do find the setting to be a bit bland. I think it lacks appeal.
It's a little disappointing that we went Europe and then we go all the way out to the Australian outback and then we snap right back to Europe.
Exactly.
In a way that doesn't really feel sufficiently different.
No, it feels a bit muted. The colors are muted. The cloudy weather makes it a bit like, okay, the windmills are not enough of a draw for me. They could have it still be in Europe and have it be something completely different from Venice.
True.
And setting does play a big role in what I think of an episode.
Evidently.
So let's take it chronologically. Let me just say that I love this first mission so freaking much.
We have a villain from each of the 3 games in the same room at the same time, which is wild to think about.
Tell it louder. This is the equivalent of Rajan's ball for me, you know?
Yeah, it's the closest we're getting.
Exactly. The fact that we have returning villains is anything I could have asked for, okay?
Sure.
I think it's such a refreshing change of pace. I've always just loved walking around the hotel and just like jumping on the tables.
Yeah, I had a very morbid thing where you can make Sly throw himself into the fire and it'll do like 1/64th of his health. And you can just kill him that way very slowly, which... yeah, it's just an option.
What?
But aside from that horrifying thing you can do, and that I did do, it's like a rare, peaceful area. You can't just go around smashing things. There are relatively normal. I was about to say normal people, and then I remembered that they're here to blow each other out of the sky. Relatively normal people in the lobby having drinks and chatting. Yeah, it's just this like non-criminal space, which is very rare.
Does Sly die in the pilot costume when you put him in the fire?
Yeah, he does the same animation.
In the costume?
Yeah.
Sorry, I got stuck on that. Like 1/64.
Yeah, it takes a long time. I'm really telling on myself by admitting that I never did that.
It's reminiscent of Rajan's Ball because I love seeing villains do something other than crime.
Yeah.
You know?
I definitely agree, even if I am a little confused by Mugshot liking airplanes. I have heard it said that someone theorized that he misunderstood the term dogfight, and that's how he got into it. But I don't think they say that explicitly.
That'd be hilarious. Can you imagine?
Aside from that, this is very cynical of me to say, but I think Mugshot's only really here because he shares a voice actor with the Panda King, and they were getting the Panda King back anyway. They had this idea for enemy pilots and this like game of subterfuge and messing around with other people. Let's bring back Mugshot.
That sounds absolutely not. The two sound like absolutely nothing like each other. That's crazy. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's impressive work.
Yeah.
I think, as with all of the other characters, I said before in our Sly 1 episode that I was a little bit lukewarm on Mugshot. I thought he was fine. I think here he's funnier. I think, as with all the other characters, they've figured out exactly how to write him, and his lines have a lot more kick, even though they're still generally the same type.
We're gonna get into Mugshot a bit later, but one of like the main questions I had was like, I'm curious, in our Sly 1 episode, you said Mugshot was your least favorite villain, and from that game, did your opinion change after his appearance here?
Yeah, a little. Like I said, it's a bit inexplicable, but I think it is a really good use of him, and it kind of fleshes him out a bit more and makes him a bit more entertaining. I prefer Sly 3 Mugshot to Sly 1 Mugshot.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, he's given more to do. Again, it's just a great mission. The stuff with Dimitri is great. It sets up Dead Man.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that, by a mile, is that Dimitri offers Sly what is a pretty reasonable deal in terms of, I have something you need, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you help me with something else. But Sly has this knee-jerk reaction of, oh God, I don't want to owe a favor to Dimitri of all people, and he tries to weasel out of it if he can.
Who wouldn't?
Exactly. It's so relatable. It's like, what the fuck is he going to ask me to do? Oh, God.
I also think that part of like this mission's appeal as well is I am skipping over the Baron's introduction because I don't think it's that grandiose or anything.
It's fine. It works, I guess.
Yeah, like he's just small and angry. But I do like this mission also because it feels very nostalgic and that it kind of like returns to the series roots. Not only do we get the two returning villains, but also we get classic Sly platforming when he's scaling the Baron's castle.
Yeah.
I love that segment. The castle feels like a traditional like fiendish 5-layer, and when you see the Baron pacing around, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
Very nicely executed. And you're right, it does absolutely harken back to Sly 1.
The rest of the missions are decent enough.
Yeah. I like... It's kind of hard to keep them in my head chronologically, but making the Belgian person laugh is memorable because Murray name drops Genghis Khan. if you select historical humor, which is an evergreen reminder that Sly Cooper does not take place in a 100% fictional cartoon world. It takes place on Earth with Earth's history, except everyone's a talking animal. So presumably Genghis Khan is a yak. Yeah, fun to think about.
Let's please leave that with like Rumble Down Under last episode. let's just put her to bed.
Terrible things to unpack.
Honestly, I'd be remiss to say, I feel like even though I don't enjoy that specific part, I like how like the inter-competition politics factor into how the gang operates.
Yeah.
And that's just a part of like the whole thing because it's less spectacle and more like stealth.
Yeah.
I like the parent trap shenanigans, like pitting the two teams against each other, traversing the sewers, the hotel room.
Even the fact that you have to defend yourself from mugshot goes a long way to be like, the gang hasn't just waltzed in here. They are now within this web and they have to protect themselves as well.
Yeah. Let me just get this out of the way. We get to that protect the Cooper hangar mission.
Yeah.
I genuinely hate how like Penelope's like official introduction is like through FaceTime.
Hi. I'm here in the corner of the screen.
And call.
Oh, no.
She's like coming in through the Zoom meeting and then the RC Chopper gameplay.
Yeah.
I have written it sucks ass in bold.
Oh.
But I actually wrote in bold.
It sucks ass.
Because it does.
In bold. It's such a tragedy because, as we have firmly established, she's meant to be better than Bentley. But yeah, in terms of like, even this is just me telling you my opinion as a child. I quite liked the RC Chopper in 2. Thought it was grand.
Yeah.
And then the rejigging of it so that it's a claw instead of bombs. I didn't love that, and I still don't.
And I'll be the first one to agree and admit to it, even though I'm a
Bentley hater, certified Bentley hater.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to come up way more
as we progress. Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, but she tried it. I'll admit that the Slide 2, it's a downgrade from the Slide 2 Chopper gameplay, okay? It's funny to me how this game is all about recruiting new gang members and there's not a lot of focus on them.
Yeah. 7 is a big number, I can tell you. But even still, they could have factored people in more and more smoothly.
It's a shame because Penelope is like a nice character. She's actually great.
I think in terms of like the character dynamics, Penelope is the best thing introduced in this game. Like just to have a friggin' girl on the team.
Yeah. 100%.
She's great. She really adds. This is a note for the next episode, but immediately she like fits into the character dynamics. She bounces off Murray in a very fun way.
Yeah.
So like you kind of feel her absence a little bit when you play the first 2 games.
Yeah.
But as we've established, there's no game after this one. So you gotta just enjoy her while she's here in Sly 3 in the half of one of the games. Aris is giving me a weird smile for some reason. Even though everything I said was factually true.
This is gonna be the end of us. Hey, listen. She's in our like video thumbnail for a reason.
Yeah.
And honestly, I do want to unpack what Penelope means and what she stands for as a character in the subsequent 2 episodes because I feel like that's when she gets her fleshing out. But here, it's just established like she's timid but bombastic at the same time. She's like nonchalant. Good for her. She's just girl boss. Like, yes, queen, slay mamacita. Like, what else do you want?
Yeah.
On the Zoom.
She's willing to kill those guys without a second thought.
Yeah. Even though, even though her mission is absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
I also like absolutely love how like the Baron cannot stress enough that he wants peace and quiet at the beginning of the episode and Mugshot brings in literal fucking tanks.
That's so Mugshot. Hashtag that's so Mugshot. Tag in the comments below what your favorite hashtag Mugshot moment is.
Why do you hate Mugshot? But what is the Mugshot slander?
That's not slandering him. That's just accurate. He's a gun guy. He's American. He solves all his problems with guns.
He's American. He
came to Europe with a bunch of tanks because that's what Americans do.
Taking a page from your book, I sure hope we never see him again.
Yeah.
Oh.
He would be a weird choice to be like the recurring villain who gets to show up all the time. Because he's fine.
I mean, Sucker Punch kind of did it on them to themselves, though.
Yeah. Anyway.
I do want to also, since we're on the topic of like the Baron,
Yes.
briefly just talk about him as a villain.
Sure.
Without having him like directly target the gang or commit any like explicit crimes like Don Octavio like taking a shit into the Venice water or something.
That's not what he did. I'm pretty sure that was something else.
He kind of feels like largely removed from the episode.
Yeah. And you could argue that that's like purposeful in that
Yeah.
it turns out there's a reason he's not wandering around a lot. But I don't know. It's hard to get too invested in him on like a replay for obvious reasons.
Yeah, because you know what's coming.
Exactly. It's hard to like compare him to other villains even. He doesn't exactly have a rich inner life.
I always also wondered what the fuck he's supposed to be. You know, as a child, I always thought a flea.
Oh.
But I think that's stupid.
I think it's purposeful that he doesn't look like any particular animal.
Yeah.
If that's on purpose, then it's like foreshadowing. Oh, he's not a dog or a rat or anything. He's just a guy.
Question mark.
He's a mustache. He's British. That's what he is.
Is he?
He's doing a British accent.
No.
He's doing something.
I don't want it. Yeah. I mean, he's so easily overshadowed by Mugshot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mugshot does a lot of the heavy lifting this episode. Like, we get amazing dialogue.
Yes.
Right in the solar plexus. I love how, like, everyone except Sly gets to interact with him. Because Murray faces against him. Bentley calls his mom a whore.
Yes.
Carmelita absolutely destroys him.
We can't. I was waiting for you to bring up that conversation because what an amazingly fucked up situation. Because there was nothing stopping them from having the plan be Murray challenge this Mugshot to a fight. But instead, Bentley takes it upon himself to do it. And Mugshot, again, he's fleshed out here a little bit. Mugshot, in this rare moment of, for lack of a better term, humanity, is like, no, I'm not going to beat up a tiny guy in a wheelchair. So Bentley has an uphill battle to convince him to do so, because that's a fucked up thing to trick anyone into doing. And obviously, the only solution is... your mother was a broken down tub of junk with more gentleman callers than the operator. Yeah. Bentley highlight, for sure.
And you know something? He absolutely ate that. He gave it to him straight. Yeah. You've gotten devious over the years and foul-mouthed.
From there, what's interesting is that I think it's pretty much the only time, because like we've seen it in like the Sly 1 cutscene newspapers where it's already happened off screen. This is the first time I think that we see Carmelita interact face-to-face with a criminal who is not Sly or one of Sly's friends. We see her on the job dealing with a different guy, in this case Mugshot. It's a very interesting look into her process because she just rattles off his name, his measurements, his other aliases, his outstanding warrants in a way that like implies that she just knows. She spends her time just memorizing case files and then she kicks his ass.
Oh, we discussed this last episode when it's like Carmelita's kryptonite is basically not having a life out of her job. Like,
yeah.
Sister goes home at night and has flashcards of like the people she needs to remember from her job.
Oh, that's so real. I can feel that.
I mean,
I feel that in my bones.
OCD queen.
Something, queen. Something's going on.
Queen of something.
Queen of something.
Sly 3 really puts her like in a position where she is forced to not only deal with Sly, even though the stuff she has to deal with is separate, it is because of Sly.
Yes, but often she doesn't know.
No, she doesn't. Like with Venice.
Yes.
She was set up. That was a setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like seeing her like do her job, pull off the PowerPoint presentation with Don Octavio,
Yeah.
ride that helicopter.
Yeah.
Even at the end, we're gonna get to it, but like getting a warrant to search Dr. Michael's island.
You see a lot more of her actual process beyond just, Carmelita's here, everybody run.
I mean, reasonable reaction.
Yeah.
Because she absolutely like destroys Mugshot.
Yeah.
I like this gameplay. I think it's good. I think it could have used a bit something like more interesting just rather than be thrown into the hub. But like just with the Don Octavio boss fight, like you can mess so much around with it. I tried to get her on the blimps last time.
How'd that go?
Not well.
Oh.
For our girl. That's why I said like the missions here are like fairly decent, because I feel like they're very like middle of the road.
Yeah.
There's not something that like completely stands out. Maybe the wolf.
The wolf is memorable, if only because obviously nothing will ever top the phrase evil wolf priestess. But opening your list of missions and seeing that one of your to-do list items today is giant wolf massacre is pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
It ranks. Again, kind of a weird mission overall, in that the pacifistic guru is just like, yeah, sure, I'll kill 15 men. Why not? I prefer the hacking mission.
Oh.
Because using a wheelchair that has jetpacks on it to hack into windmills, but then you hack into the windmills and, oh no, the code is unstable, which is not how computers are. And then the windmills get too fast and they shoot away like ninja stars. But that's okay, because we'll just do that on purpose next time to blow up a blimp, is why I'm here. Moments like this are why I am here. It's what I'm here for.
I was gonna say, you know what, Bentley? I'm gonna make you unstable in a minute, but I am happy you like the hacking. I am happy that I knew during the preparation of notes that I didn't have to say anything about it because you had it covered. As a certified Bentley hater, it's a decent enough mission. I genuinely love the booster. The thing. I really like playing with it. If you don't have anything else to add before we talk about the operation.
No.
I think we're going to agree that this operation is a bit of a flop.
Yeah, it's okay. The boat, gotta do more boat stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's basically just plane time.
The boat, I was happy to see return.
Okay.
But then after that, they kind of like, what is it? Like drive it to the ground.
There's a little too much boat.
But for now, love that segment.
Okay.
I just feel like there's a lack of build-up here because we had to clear the entire field for the semifinals, but now we just need to go after the Baron, which feels a bit anticlimactic because it's not like he had like an upgraded plane or something, you know?
Yeah. Also, just in general, the notion that Sly, who has never flown a plane before, can beat all of these professional athletes is, I guess I just filed that under Sly Cooper has superpowers. Because, as established in the cutscene, he didn't train, he stole a piece of paper, and then he hopped into a plane, and he won. The sabotage gets him through the first round, and then the second round is, don't even worry about it, just take down this one plane, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, he was on some, like, Maya Fey shit channeling Otto von Cooper.
Yeah.
I love, like, the implication that just because he put, like, bleach into the, like, other pilot's toothpaste or something, like, he, by default, knows how to, like, fly the plane professionally.
Yeah, a famously easy vehicle to handle.
Oh, absolutely. And shoot a gun while he's at it.
Yeah, a lot of biplanes have a pilot and a gunner separately, not just one guy.
Sly can do both, okay?
Evidently. Sly can do anything.
That's talent right there. And he's not even American.
He might be. We don't know.
Question mark.
He's something.
Question mark.
I think he's everything. I think he's a bit of everything. if you could put that on a passport. Nationality, yes.
I was just about to say, here comes a Grizz. But let's just leave that for next episode, if there is going to be one. For our listeners, drinking game. Take a shot every time we mention the next episode. Alcohol poisoning.
Oh, dear. Maybe use water.
The boss fight is... Oof, do I hate this segment. Okay.
Oh...
She's starting. She's activated.
Go for it.
Okay, because how the fuck did this reflect on Penelope's character in any way, shape, or form? Please explain to me. What the hell?
This is a long-standing question I've had because actually the animations are great. The animations really sell the idea that this is someone who has been trained as a boxer. Like, I think they genuinely did research into, like they used reference images and stuff. And then it turns out Penelope is the Black Baron. Spoilers for Sly 3, Band of Thieves. No, fuck. Spoilers for Sly 3.
You said it right. Say it louder.
Yeah, I said what it should have been called. The Black Baron is a, at most, 20-year-old woman with little noodle arms. I remember once, pre-Tumblr, going online and being like, if the Black Baron was Penelope, how come she was able to punch Sly so good? And the response I got was, well, Sly won the boss fight, which wasn't...
What?
That wasn't what I asked. I headcanon that the Black Baron was like semi-metal, like there were metal in those gloves, but that only goes a certain amount of the way to explain what the fuck that was. And if you're like, oh, well, clearly on top of being a ace pilot and a expert or C person and an engineer and whittling away her time on sketchy chat rooms, Penelope did learn to box. Why the fuck didn't she just punch LaFouille in the throat? It seems like Penelope is not as combat capable as the Black Baron is. So...
It just... The thematics that we've mentioned at the beginning, it just like makes everything go backwards. Because I don't like this ghost face from Scream explanation of like, oh my god, he can like leap huge distances and like carve everyone with a knife. But then it's like some, I don't know, like high school student. And it's like, excuse me, she gets taken hostage twice. Like
in
twice.
The 3 episodes that she's a gang member.
And maybe even worse, gets hit on by Dimitri.
That's, ugh.
Get over yourself. It's just also that this entire episode like relied on wits and gimmicks in order for the gang to cheat their way through the competition, and all of that leads to like being thrown into the most like simplistic combat.
Yeah.
Instead of having like this be a battle of intellect, just like with Jean Bisson, for example. Like this felt lazy and just for the sake of having a boss fight. Like
it's a cool setting, but aside from that, it's not very memorable or unique.
Exactly. And the implications are just like nonsensical because you're either going to make Penelope a girl boss or you're not. You can't flip-flop between the two.
Yeah.
Choose one and stick to it, baby doll.
Yeah. It would have been grand to have it like this and have her not get kidnapped twice. Just have her be like not as strong as Murray, but equivalently strong to Sly. Sly wouldn't get kidnapped because one guy held a knife to him, and they had a fairly even fight. Ergo, by Dragon Ball Z rules, that shouldn't work on Penelope.
And also you failed to mention way stronger than Bentley because he's useless.
Well, I mean, he's in a wheelchair, so it's okay for him to not do that.
Don't do me dirty like that. You know, I'm a certified Bentley hater.
Fine. She's stronger than Bentley.
Yes. Okay, that's Holland, is it not?
Yeah. I think that covers us. Just to say that, in general, I like the Black Baron twist, but most pressingly that issue. But even things like the Baron, in Sly Cooper fashion, says that he's gonna break people's arms and shit if they don't work for him correctly. He comes across as, like, genuinely bloodthirsty, whereas Penelope does maintain, like, a dark streak throughout this game, but doesn't seem like the kind of person who would break your arm because you annoyed her. There's a couple things things that like don't quite sync up, but for the demographic of a 10-year-old, it worked on me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what Penelope does next.
Take a shot.
So, a cold alliance, which I think you and I and most people agree is a highlight of Sly 3.
Is the crown jewel of the game, even. But, truthfully, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There, I said it.
Ooh.
I've thrown the gauntlet, crackhead energy.
I mean, we'll talk through it. We'll see.
Yeah, it has amazing highs.
Yes, and
But also lows.
some lows. Absolutely.
Even as a premise, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Like recruiting an old villain after we help him take down another more evil villain.
Yeah. It is a hard sell in terms of if you were recruiting, say, Dimitri, which would be a crazy idea. Dimitri's like worst thing was that he was standing next to other worse criminals, and mostly he was just kind of a shitheel nightclub operator. Trying to bring back a villain from the first game means adding someone who was complicit in the murder of Mr. and Mrs. Cooper in front of their 8-year-old child, which is a heavy ask.
I'm sorry, that's hilarious. I don't actually have this in my notes, but like what you're saying triggered it because, and I've expressed this on Tumblr like so many times. As a child and even as a like adult, I always found it to be such a safe/bland choice to bring the Panda King back, who like arguably had like the least like material. He was given the least to do in the first game.
Yeah, he is just kind of Chinese, and that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Rather than Mugshot is American and a gangster, and Ms. Ruby is nebulously Louisianan from Louisiana and knows voodoo, whereas Panda King is like from China and he knows Chinese stuff.
Yeah, can you imagine if they brought back the Contessa, for example?
Ooh. Scary stuff.
But in retrospect, I think that was for the best because by selecting someone who had very little to do, they could develop his character the way they wanted. And I think that's what they do here very successfully, actually, because this premise that we've discussed paves the way for the theme of morality, which is like everywhere in this episode.
Yes.
The Panda King's morality dilemma, Cao's complete lack of morality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bentley being an asshole.
Bentley, you sick fuck.
I mean, I'm sorry. Even the most loyal Bentley apologizers and defenders have to agree that it is a bit sick of him to suggest they bring the Panda King back into the circle.
Yeah, because again, presumably there are people out there with demolition expertise who didn't kill Sly's literal parents. There's got to be at least a handful.
And excuse me. We've both played through that tutorial. What the fuck does Panda King do? Shoot 2 fireworks?
Poor Panda King. He shoots a firework in the prologue. He shoots a firework to get the small pretend car somewhere. And then he shoots a larger firework to shoot the real big person car somewhere. So there is no... I guess they're like, oh, he had to do good calculations to make the fireworks go. But there's no Panda King level in the finale. That's a lot of effort to go through for something that probably could have been handled by a targeting computer, Bentley.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotional stress here.
I'm trying to practice self-restraint.
If it would help to move on,
yeah,
I would like to say that this level has my favorite opening of any Sly Cooper episode in that we are blessed with 2 cutscenes, one after the other, and instead of a standard recon mission, we get a secondary location, a specialized little mini-map And all 5 current members of the team have to work together in one fun mission. Again, like I said, Penelope is immediately like part of the dynamics and the banter, which is great to see. It climaxes in revisiting a set piece from the first game, specifically, not just a set piece, a boss fight from the first game, merging it with one of the new mechanics, the dialogue tree, which is amazing game design. Obviously, it's only something that you can do in a game that is a sequel, but it's like a benchmark to show, as Sly says, he's grown and changed in the years since, and so has the Panda King. And this is like a very immediate contrast where you're thrown back into that scene.
I know how much you love when the group works together.
Yeah.
Like this being a group effort, I feel like not only is it important to like kind of like showcase everyone's like own unique skill set, but also is like it's important to have it be a group effort right at this point, because this is the point in the game where the dynamics begin to shift.
That's right.
Specifically, Penelope's crush on Sly, Bentley becoming jealous and more domineering, Murray becoming friends with Penelope and reuniting with the van, and then Panda King is also thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
It's like a mini recap before things change and the drama unfolds.
Now that you say all that, I've complained in the last episode that the Guru notably does not affect the dynamics in any way, shape, or form. Not in Rumble Down Under, not in Holland, and not in here. Every so often he gets to mumble something and they're like, "You're right, Guru, you're so funny and a vital member of the team," but he's not. I wondered now if that was purposeful, where they sort of gave themselves an out of like, we'll have the first half of the game be standard Sly stuff where it's just Sly, Bentley, and Murray, and occasionally a mumbling Spectre. And then from this point on, they have to deal with those shifting dynamics more. I'm sure that was like a hard thing to juggle. But that said, as a viewer, I would have preferred if we had started on it earlier and gotten more of it.
I know a certified hater when I hear one.
Certified the Guru hater?
And it is sure starting to sound like a certified Guru hater.
Okay. I'd like to formally apologize to the Guru Stan singular, because I think there is one, but I wouldn't guess that there's more than one.
Mumbling Spectre was such a read.
Thanks.
Yes, but also no, because do we get traditional Sly at the first half? Do we? Murray's gone.
Venice, no. And then in Australia, Murray shows back up and there's more. The rifts begin to heal.
I don't know if it was intentional or not, but definitely 100%. Nobody gives a fuck about the Guru.
Okay.
Like 1,000,000%. And when you said it and just clicked in my head, literally in the next episode, everyone thinks he's dead. And yeah, it's like, oh my God, we need to save Penelope.
They just move on. I mean, yeah, reasonable.
Certified.
I know which of the two I would be more concerned about.
Certified. Yeah. You said everything I wanted to say about the boss fight as well. I can't emphasize enough how much I love this segment. It's refreshing, but self-referential.
Yeah.
Like, it's just outstanding, you know, and giving us, like, blessing us with 2 cutscenes back to back, completely different hub for the first mission, like, incredible stuff. Even though this episode does have its lows, it is clear that this is the episode they put the most, like, work and attention into.
Yeah, I would say so.
Another thing I love about this episode, and speaking of dynamics, love the Murray-Penelope dynamic duo.
Absolutely. I think that is the one thing that, like, I'm glad we even got as much of it as we did, but that would have been a great thing to keep going in future installments if they made any. Penelope has, like, a different relationship with each of the 3 leads. And the one with Murray is just so fun to watch. Even the fact that, like, he treats the RC car like he thanks it at one point is so cute. They hit it off immediately in a way that I think was a very wholesome dynamic. So
I sure do hope that no one took that drinking game suggestion for reals. Safehouse chats arrested for murder. Yeah, they have 3 outings here, and all 3 are like pure gold. I love how it's like classic, like dummy and genius dynamic. I love how between Sly and Bentley's like bullshit dramatics, Penelope like gravitates towards Murray.
Yeah, Murray's just nice.
She just needs a bestie, and who is more suitable from the gang than the pink softie?
Murray is easily the most approachable person. Like, even he's got his own stuff going on. He's very loud, but like underneath it, he's actually surprisingly well adjusted compared to the other 2.
Not the guru?
I mean, you can talk at the guru as much as you like.
I'm happy. I'm happy we both hate someone. That is my takeaway from today.
Okay.
You know,
the van mission.
Yeah.
Is a bit silly, and it's also a bit hard. I don't love playing it because it's fairly difficult, but it strengthens the tie between Murray and Penelope, and as you were saying, it brings in the Panda King as well. It's a little silly, maybe, to compare the fact that Murray missed his vehicle to the kidnapping of your child, but like, he sells it. When Panda King is watching Murray and he's like, damn, I should have been like that. Like, yeah. And then they become friends out of it, which is quite something.
Panda King literally like having, I don't know, like the depression of his lifetime, like borderline suicidal thoughts, thinking about like his daughter's arranged marriage. And meanwhile, Maria is like, oh my God, I sure hope the van's AC works.
Words to tear at a father's heart.
Yeah, those are the words. Yeah, we're gonna get into what happens after with the van, because we know what happens with the van. Mm-hmm. When I mentioned lows, the missions are the aforementioned mixed bag aspect, because the Sly Bentley team up is such an obvious setup point for their imaginary like rivalry. Having you like run up and down the hab because Sly isn't quick enough to pickpocket 2 guards is like fucking nonsensical bullshit. Like, Sly has done way more in the past.
And it's, again, one of those Sly Cooper moments where they're like, the guards have special high-tech security keys for... I think, in fairness, this is like the front office of Tsao's financial center. But, like, you can break a window.
They're in the middle of the sticks. Like, just pickpocket them.
Yeah.
Just get it over with. Yeah, and then the grapple cam, which is like... okay, I guess, but like...
I like the grapple cam. I think it's a fun gadget. I like it better when it has a turret, because that speeds things up a lot. But
I guess it's just the missions are very hit or miss with this one. I'm sorry. Like, even the van, the turret is like hate.
Yeah.
Hate.
The turret's the worst part of that mission for sure. I was having a pretty decent time. I was having a grand old time. And then... RC car mission with the lit fuse, and you have to chase the fuse all the way up the mountain. And the first time you do it, Bentley explains to you how important it is for you to chase the lit fuse up the mountain in a cutscene, and you can see the lit fuse disappearing over the horizon as Bentley in an unskippable cutscene tells you how important it is to chase it, and then you fail, but then you start over and Bentley shuts up this time. It's the one where Murray nearly explodes.
Yeah, I know the mission. I'm just...
yeah.
unsure about what you're referring to.
I hate it. I hate that mission. I like the RC car in general, and I hate that mission.
We found something that I don't hate, but you do.
Wow.
Apart from the guru. Really?
Yeah.
I think it's a fine mission. Like, it's whatever.
I find it stressful and unsatisfying.
It is anxiety-inducing.
Yeah.
But, okay. Listen, I'll take that instead of turret.
Yeah.
Any day.
Yeah.
But your favorite mission...
That's right. Not only do we have such a different opening than usual, the entire kind of rhythm of the mission is entirely thrown off halfway through the level with the invasion of the safe house. The safe house is no longer safe, which is such a good card to pull obviously it's something you don't want to do too much, but like genuinely, you're playing it as a kid and you're like,
oh, the trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just say, straight up terrified. Okay. And not even just as a child.
Yeah. And that leads into fun hacking section, weird but visually interesting guru section, good Sao boss fight.
The mixture of everything you just mentioned, it just makes laptop retrieval be on the same level as a proper operation. And not even just a proper operation, one of the best operations.
Yeah.
And it just like completely devours the rest of the girls.
Yeah.
It hits every single point correctly because certified Bentley hater admits that the hacking is great because it develops Cao's character indirectly with his avatar.
Yes, the avatar is the coolest thing in any Sly Cooper hacking segment, easily.
That was just like great stuff, like great indirect storytelling.
Yeah.
The guru, great. And then two-phase boss fight with some of the best dialogue.
Everyone remembers Sao saying something outright misogynistic and Sly having a righteously angry reaction to it. What is easy to look over is that Sly says, "You're one of the worst people I've met in my entire life." And Sao just replies, "Yeah, and I know black magic." Which is, in retrospect, a really funny rebuttal. It's not even a rebuttal. He's just like, yeah, and I know wizard spells. What an amazing bag of dicks.
Man, he sure is like an incel.
Yeah.
This is the incel villain.
He doesn't even blink. He just pivots immediately to talking about how he knows black magic.
Oh, no, he was like, yeah, completely unfazed. Like,
yeah.
You gotta hand it to him. Like, I love how, like, I don't even know why, but, like, in my head, I was thinking, like, when you were saying, Cao says something completely, like, misogynistic, but what people overlook is that the guru is also misogynistic.
No, the guru can't express any opinions, good, bad, or indifferent. He's a blank slate. We can't cancel the guru for anything he says because he never says anything.
Let's please not mention the guru and the word cancel in the same sentence after the episode 4A. Please. Because that, you broke me last time. Anyway, Cao.
We kind of skipped Cao a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Cao as a villain. This laptop retrieval sets him up as one of the series' best villains because I know I've given a lot of flack about like this game's handling of villains and shit, but this is genuinely one of the best villains. Like up there with Contessa. Give him his flowers because first of all, I think that, yes, I agree with you. Pulling the card of breaking the illusion of safety for the safe house is a great card to pull, but not every villain could pull it successfully like Cao.
Correct.
He's just like such a fucking bastard.
Yeah.
You love to hate him.
I appreciate any villain who has a wide arsenal. Like, not just a large arsenal, but a wide arsenal. So I'm making fun of him for it. But the fact that he has high-tech lasers in his remote palace, he has enough computing understanding to have, like, very good cybersecurity. But also he's legit a dark wizard is some Doctor Doom type shit. And he can throw a punch. He gets into a physical altercation that does not immediately rely on said powers or said technology. So he's just got, like, a all-round skill set that makes for a very kind of versatile and intimidating villain.
Matched with a nasty ass personality.
Very much so. Like, they do underestimate him at first, and it's because something that I only really caught on this playthrough is that when Sly pretends to be a photographer and submits what, despite what Bentley says, must be some absolute middle-of-the-road, okay at best photographs. Cao is like, yes, I can see that you have a good grasp of forced perspectivism. These are adequate. Like, you can tell he's talking out of his ass because he needs to sound important about everything. So the gang is naturally assumes like, oh, it's a Jean Bisson type. He knows nothing. It turns out he's arrogant, but also can mostly back that up.
And you know something? That's kind of iconic.
Yeah.
Because everything has to be about him.
Yeah.
And
his bloodline.
If I did have to come up with one criticism, is that his attraction towards Jane King is never explored.
Or unpacked.
What?
He kind of comes across as a little bit insane. In that per Sly 1, we know that Panda King grew up poor and was just a simple peasant boy and made a name for himself through murder. Sao treats the Panda King as though he is a fellow noble. Like, he keeps talking about Panda King's bloodline being important, as though it goes back a long time as well. So he kind of comes across as a little bit like detached from reality and not entirely sure what he's talking about. Also, can a bird have children with a bear? Do we know that? Has that been proven? Can science side of Tumblr?
Yeah, I was about to say, may I remind you that a large portion of our audience comes from Tumblr, so maybe you shouldn't ask that question.
I just feel like there'd be a couple barriers there. They're not even the same kind of animal.
He's a wizard.
I guess he's a wizard. You got me there.
And then, as if things weren't like as great as they could be, then we have my favorite mission.
Oh yeah. I almost forgot.
Shame on you.
Can't end the episode without spending about, I think we can schedule about 40 minutes for this.
You know something? I spent a really long time talking about the Palace Doorman.
Yes.
But Battery of Peril, my beloved. Okay, I've gone long enough without talking about the Battery of Peril. But now is the time to say that... Do you remember a few years ago when everyone wanted to eat the Tide Pods of the washing machine?
Yes.
I want to put the Battery of Peril in my mouth.
How? It's bigger than your head.
If
do you mean the battery or the abstract idea of the mission?
I mean the battery.
Oh, that's a...
But I'll also take the mission. If...
Worse answer. It's very large.
If Cao can impregnate Jin King, I can put the Battery of Peril in my mouth.
What a wonderful world.
I want to savor it. Okay? I want to drink the battery acid. It's so chibi and cute and short and stumpy. I love it so much. I want to squish it in my hands and put it in my mouth.
Would it be bad of me to point out that's not at all what vehicle car batteries look like? A car battery is normally black and square, but again, this is for children, and they just went with a very, very large AA battery that is supposed to go somewhere under the van's hood. Oh, that sure is a battery. Like, if it was a black box looking thing, it wouldn't be as whimsical, would it?
No.
In the world of Sly Cooper, you open the hood of your vehicle and there is just a very large AA battery nestled somewhere in there.
Don't try to come between me and the Battery of Peril.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Please. Okay. I just thought about something really crass.
Crasser than putting the battery in your mouth. Worse than that.
Mari roleplay.
Uh-huh.
Where I'm Mari in the Contessa's prison and Battery of Peril is half the Rajan Hart. I'll just say that.
Oh, okay.
And you can cut that out. I love how, like, I could just refer to something from the series and not say anything filthy, but still make it work. Okay, I
Yes.
Sorry, all jokes aside, it's a top 3 mission with still a tuxedo just barely edging it out. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Everything about this mission is iconic from start to finish. You play as Carmelita.
Yeah, you play as...
Switching the perspective.
Yes. You not only play as Carmelita, you play as Carmelita chasing down Sly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, something that's been around from the very first game, and we get to experience it, like, from the other perspective.
The first 10 minutes of the first game.
It's instantly legendary mission. It's an instantly legendary mission. And then having Carmelita chase after you is so much fun and so intense. I always play around with it. Like, I have her, like, see how fast she can get from one edge of the map to the other.
Sure.
Just like 10 out of 10. But yeah, that's Battery of Peril.
Great.
Before we move on to the operation, I would like to briefly say that I really enjoy how they managed to keep the dialogue mechanic fresh by having it be Panda King having a conversation with himself.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is absolutely in my notes as well. Most of the dialogue trees are humorous, or they're just like a low stakes way to kind of progress the situation. This is the only dialogue tree that is played for drama, and I think the voice actor nails it. I think it's a really well done.
Yeah.
Invoking the yin and the yang, you can say that that's like fairly basic stuff, but it works very nicely. And the line about if strength is all that matters, then Sao would be an ideal son-in-law is like, that's just the themes of the episode in a single line. So that's very, very neat.
The way you phrased it, I do kind of wish like we got more serious ones. Like maybe even between Sly and Dr. Michael.
As I said last time, I do them wrong on purpose so that I can hear more of the discussion.
Yeah.
It means more lines. It means more dialogue.
And I love how also, by the way, we didn't mention how actually this time, if you, with the first mission, you were punished if you chose the wrong thing. Because you had to play the boss fight.
Yeah, that's right.
It did have stakes.
Even still, I do it wrong because I like playing that boss fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel the Panda King is to play?
I literally have like nothing written.
Oh, this one single mission he has in a hub.
I hate it. I hate it, honestly. Like, I'm not even neutral about it, and I'm not even gonna lie. I don't, like, viscerally hate it.
Okay.
But, like, I am not a fan. I feel like it's just like with Carmelita, where, like, they give you a lot of fun ways to play.
Right.
Like, having him have the flames when you press square.
Yeah.
And then they immediately strip that from you and kind of, like, punish you for using it, because if you hit the vampires with it, they explode and you lose health.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. And then it doesn't really factor at all into his one other mission. As with Carmelita, you're right. They don't devolve him. They don't make him smaller to fit.
No.
It does actually genuinely feel like you are playing as a guy who was a boss of a previous game. But then you don't actually get to do anything. So that's just sad.
No. And with that,
the operation, which...
Operation Shit Show is what it is.
Again, the very first note I have on it is great Murray-Penelope interactions. So...
100%.
That's the shining light here. He's coaching her through her first heist that is going wrong. It's very cute.
Yeah, smashing shit. I didn't even remember this, but my first note is always a slave to the schedule. That's me, girl. Shut the fuck up.
Oh.
We have to listen to that twice.
Yeah, I like listening to him talk. He has a nice voice.
Shout out to Kevin Miller.
Yeah.
I think this operation is fairly decent. But I do also recognize that having to top laptop retrieval is tough. It's a tough thing to do.
And it's most evidently seen in the boss fight. We've already fought Sao, so we need to do something else. Here's a dragon, which is conceptually cool, but it's not actually that fun to fight at all.
Give me a rematch.
Yeah, there would have been a way to, like, have him fight Sao again, or even just, like, have him summon the dragon and have that be different and better. I don't know how off the top of my head, but I don't like what's there, to be completely honest.
It's just like this operation feels like a lot like a chore, you know, like with the vases and like trying to be stealthy with the car and it's like, and then the dragon.
At least the car, you go through the maze slowly and carefully, and then you get that moment of catharsis where it's like, okay, never mind, just smash everything. Gameplay wise, that's the highlight of the operation for me. Yeah, nothing really jumps out otherwise.
Penelope getting
yeah.
One thing I do generally hate about this operation, though, is that just gay things. But if you're going to have Cao be like going on about his wedding, I want to see a wedding.
Yeah.
I want a freaking wedding set piece. I want the Battery of Peril in a tuxedo. I want the setup. I want the camp. I want the decor. Give me everything, okay?
I remember someone once pointed out on Tumblr that the first Kingdom Hearts game had no capacity for extras, which was, you know, true of a lot of PlayStation 2 games, but Kingdom Hearts was reenacting scenes from Disney movies, and there would be moments where it's like, oh, it's the big, beautiful wedding, and it's literally just a huge empty room with 6 people who are named characters and otherwise empty. My mind wanders to that as I think about how we saw no guests and we didn't even see who officiated the wedding. We just saw Cao and the veiled bride.
It's giving Don Octavio's concert.
Yeah, but in universe there was a reason no one was there.
But what about the wedding?
There's no excuse now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
I love seeing Sly dress up as Cao, though. The whole switcheroo thing, I love.
Very fun. Very classic.
And Carmelita being played as a dummy. Yeah, that's it.
The last note, very quick, ending cutscene, harkening back to the Sly 1 China level.
I love that.
Put a pin in that real quick, as we will return to that after we blast very quickly through Blood Bath Bay, which is a departure from basically every single other level in Sly Cooper. I can't pretend it's completely outside the tone of the series, but it's also a bit of a leap. That's not a real place in the Caribbean. That doesn't actually happen. Raises a lot of questions like, are there any women here? Wouldn't governments who have shipping routes through the Northern Pacific be like, knock that shit off, you weirdos. We have metal boats and we will shoot you with real guns. They devote a lot of ocean to this hardcore roleplay community. And that's a choice in terms of setting and lore.
Why are we putting a pin into the cutscene?
Because I have a thing about it later for when we're kind of talking about the final mission. You'll see.
Okay. Yeah, Dead Man Tell No Tales. Sweetheart. I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're the worst episode in the series.
It's like 2 weird half episodes tied together. Because there's like a small hub with a small number of missions, and then we do a ship instead for the rest of it.
I feel like it's wasted potential. To change the tone a bit, I do like how Dimitri calls in the favor from Flight of Fancy.
That is in my notes as well. It's a good change in structure that like, oh, we have to do this apparently small job just to square it away, and then things spiral out of control from there.
That's where the nice things end. Okay.
I have one more nice thing.
Tell me.
I genuinely do like the... I remember, I know who I'm talking to. I know you're a certified hater. The Bentley and Penelope mission.
Oh.
Where they interact.
I have some like pleasant notes further down the line. I'm just talking about like generally about this episode.
Okay.
I agree with this because Dynamic Duo is actually an underrated mission.
It is. I like it a lot. If I was going to replay anything from this level, it would no contest be Dynamic Duo.
Really?
Yeah.
Not the diving mission?
We'll get to the diving mission.
We'll get to that. Yeah, since you bring up dynamic duo, I will say during my last playthrough, this is what really made me understand Penelope's character. I said it on Tumblr a few months ago, but I finally like got her shtick during this mission, which like develops her character a lot because we also get her like health meter.
Yeah, her icon.
Her just like walking around in the hub.
Yeah.
I love how she's tiny. Like I always liked her, but it just made me understand like how she has basically like zero fucks to give and she's just tagging along because she has absolutely nothing better to do. And she's one of the guys, which makes it even worse when she's pigeonholed into the left triangle role. But like she's just like a tomboy with her like raspy voice, like yeah, just having a nice time, like good for her, you know.
She casually mentions, oh yeah, my thing fell apart, but we can't just walk over to it and pick it up because I rigged it to explode if anyone touches it. And you're like, okay. Like I said, there's a bit of a dark streak there.
Exactly. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
And even as a certified Bentley hater, I do think this is an underrated mission. Bentley cracking and shit-talking Sly like makes me froth in the mouth every single time. like keep it to yourself and get some clarity back. But other than that, great mission.
Yeah. It's the only time, I think we touched on this last episode, it's the only time Bentley actually says he doesn't want to be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And it's only specifically in the context of, I hang out with a guy who can do cool acrobatics. And Penelope, again, kind of getting to the very theme of the series is like, yeah, but Sly doesn't know what a keyboard does. Like, that's the whole thrust ever since Sly 2. Even from like the end of Sly 1, that they have different talents.
Yeah. That being said, I do try to murder her in the hub every single time.
Oh, no.
I just love when she gets hurt. I'm sorry.
I no longer feel bad about talking about immolating Sly, because that feels like a worse statement somehow.
And yet, the things you've said about the guru.
Okay.
Anyway, I just want to say that I do get the intrigue of a setting where like it's exclusively like lawless and violent because it sets up the gang as like the level-headed authority figures by default in a way.
Yeah, there's no Carmelita this time in a first.
Yeah, which I also love about the ending.
Yes.
But whose thing is pirates exactly?
Yeah, they say that it's like...
Like, who asked for this?
Oh, you mean out of universe, audience-wise.
Yeah.
Pirates are like... Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and people liked Pirates again, and they made a couple more Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but there were no competitors. There were no imitators. It didn't, like, kick off a new wave of pirate movies. They just made increasingly bad Pirates of the Caribbean movies specifically.
No.
So, like, I think people enjoy pirates, but few people are, like, fanatical about them. The thing about this is, we're breaking the theme. The theme is usually Paris, China, Western continental United States. Pirates is not a place. It flashes up very briefly that it's in the Caribbean. And aside from that, it's not clear where on earth it is. And the Caribbean, you could do so many beautiful Sly Cooper levels in like Cuba, Jamaica, wherever the hell, where that isn't pirates.
Works at pirates.
Yar har fiddle-dee-dee.
Getting into it. The first mission is a choice. I was going to make a joke about Liver Spot Pete being like an underrated girly, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I kind of hate him and how terrible things happen to him.
You're a puss-faced, knuckle-dragging bag of vomit.
Kill yourself.
Yes, I should have just said that. Instant checkmate move.
It's the Edgeworth chess game, but instead he says kill yourself. Checkmate.
Gets him every time.
That pirate talk, I want to break something every single time.
Yeah.
You know what, Lefwy? You're a bag of vomit. and a piece of shit.
You're a dumb cock. He just like uses increasingly modern language.
I hope this is how we handle everything in our Thieves in Time coverage. Anyway.
What do you think of the sailing? Do you like the sailing ship? Do you like the boat?
No.
Do you like sailing the ship indefinitely?
Wait, because that's where I'm gonna have the breakdown.
Okay.
What do you think about Lefouille as a villain bestie?
He's okay. He suffers from, as you've pointed out, a lot of Sly 3 villains are cut from the same archetype of small and angry.
Thank you.
He also doubly suffers from, we just had an intelligent and intimidating bird 1 episode ago. So it's very hard for Lefouille to come across... intelligent, evil bird who is misogynistic and horny.
Misogynistic. He's misogynistic.
A misogynistic, horny, evil, smart bird. It's like every time I step outside, I'm tripping over those guys. They're such a common archetype. So it's almost like this is like from a different game. Like Sly Cooper 7.
Yeah.
They started doing weird stuff like the pirate level, and there was a guy who was kind of a bit like Sal again, except a parrot. But no, it's not Sly Cooper 7. It's Sly Cooper 3, and we just had Sal 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
The only thing I like about Lefouille, and this is a total reach, this is like probably me spinning something out of optional dialogue that makes an error. But during the operation, if you're trying to get him angry, one of the incorrect responses Lefouille dismisses as, quote, action movie dialogue, even though he lives in a skull castle and isn't supposed to have a TV. So, my headcanon is that he actually does have a fucking DVD player, and he shoos everyone out of his bedroom, and then he watches whatever the fuck. But that's just me making shit up.
No, you know that, like, Lefouille, like, plays Minecraft or something, okay? Like,
yeah.
100%.
He has a fridge full of soda, and he just doesn't tell anyone that he has that while they're sipping their miserable rum, warm, unrefrigerated.
Scurvy.
He has a cooler full of like Mountain Dew in the back room.
See, what I'm coming to realize is that you have been describing this as a bit like out of time, but I never took it that way. Because the way you're talking about it, and you're right, because there's not an ounce of technology. I mean, apart from like his boat security, but he's anti-technology, and for me, in order for him to rival Bentley, he has to have some sort of technological skills or like smarts.
Yes.
So I kind of took it as like cyber pirates, even though they never like indulge in the cyber part. But
he never takes out an AK-47.
No.
They're using fucking muskets with gunpowder.
Yeah, I guess. That's so weird. I never actually thought about it.
Roleplay.
It's like those people. Yeah, it's roleplay. It's like those people who go to medieval talks.
Yeah, it's the most dedicated roleplay community in the Sly Cooper universe. Also, they kill each other.
That's such a weird choice, though.
Yeah, like, they wanted to do a pirate level, but we don't have... I mean, we do have pirates. Piracy still happens, but it doesn't look like it does in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's less whimsical than that.
Yeah.
So they didn't go with that, and they basically did a time travel episode. Can you...
Take a shot, guys. Take a shot.
I'm sorry.
Let me just say, by the way, that they kind of already went down this route of like a modern pirate story with Sir Raleigh.
Yeah.
Who was not a time travel episode.
He had the Jolly Roger flying.
Exactly. He did. He was like a cyber pirate, just as I said it. So, fuck Lefouille. and fuck this episode.
Imagine, I just had a much better idea. They show up to Bloodbath Bay. We're still doing the pirate thing, I guess. But they talk to Black Spot Pete, and Black Spot Pete's like, oh yeah, the scariest guy in town stole my shit. He lives in Yon Skull Keep. And then they go to Yon Skull Keep, and it's Sir Raleigh, who has, between Sly 1 and Sly 3, either moved here or basically like set it up. And Bentley and Murray and Sly are like, oh, fuck this guy again. And Penelope can be like, what? Who's this guy? Like, catch me up. And we just don't do Lafouille. We just Sly 3, the return of Sir Raleigh. Sir Raleigh's revenge.
Honestly, your logic is sound, except the part that a British person would survive in that climate.
In that heat. He's from Wales. Yeah, I forgot that part.
As I said before, they don't do nearly enough with this hub, which I hate the color palette for. It's giving a bit like sardines.
It's a bit much.
And yeah, and then we're like suddenly launched into like pirate shit gameplay, which is like, mama, this is garbage. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah. I think, much like the biplane, it's fine, but it's not better than fine. It's fine. It's okay. And I'm getting the sense that you have not extended your charity even that far.
Breakdown was maybe a tad dramatic.
Okay.
But yeah, Breakdown was a tad dramatic, but definitely not on biplane level.
Okay.
For me. The pirate fights are whatever. Like, okay, I guess. But the, like, traversing the map.
And it accurately... I have operated boats before, and it is fucking hard to have the wind be what moves you. The one concession they give you is that they say that the wind always blows from the south. Actual wind does whatever the fuck it wants, which makes it even worse. But it often, you need to go south, and then you just kind of crawl your way along.
Accounting for the wind, and then having a mission about a sea monster. Anyway, we get to Ass Crack Island, or whatever the fuck it's called, which is like so bland and boring, like whatever. I'm a slut for the map gameplay.
The map is fun. And the fact that it unlocks map challenges in previous episodes.
Exactly.
That's also fun.
Give me that shit right now, because I love it so much.
No complaints here.
Give me the clues, you know?
Yeah.
Other than that... actually, I do love that the ancient lizards respond to the pirate costume.
I did not know this.
What?
Do they...
And they have the same dialogue as the other guards.
Oh, no.
But they do not move their mouths.
Oh, I gotta try that.
It's hilarious.
That one passed me by.
It's really bad. But yeah, and then Lafouille catches up with the gang.
And this is where things go from interesting to ugh. Again, structurally it's interesting. We were brought out here to do a small job. Sly like muses, oh, maybe Dimitri will think about joining the gang if we get this for him. And the latter half of the episode is about saving Penelope from being kidnapped by a horny misogynist. So that's cool.
Who is played for laughs and as such poses zero threat. And Penelope knows fist fighting. Do something.
Penelope was trading punches with Sly at 5,000 feet about maybe 6 weeks prior to this. And she just doesn't sock him once in the throat and be done with it.
No. Like, the game is obsessed with putting women into the damsel in distress role. And Lafouille lusting over her is like... might as well slit her throat.
This is the only Sly Cooper game where Carmelita is not kidnapped at some point. And we've been praising it for 2 episodes now about showing Carmelita at her strongest. But it's because Penelope, as a smaller, apparently weaker woman, is like a lightning rod for that shit. She gets all of it instead of Carmelita, who has paid her dues by now.
Honestly, I'm not even saying it because I'm a certified Bentley hater, but wouldn't it be way more effective if he took Bentley hostage?
Yeah, and they had to Because we've never seen the gang without Bentley. The gang has been reduced to Bentley and no one else, but the gang has always, like, had him around. So that would be a much more interesting character to remove than the girl who just showed up and was having a good time with everybody, and we barely even got to see any of that, and now she's gone again, and then there won't be much opportunity for character dynamics next episode. So,
And have Lefwee torture Bentley while he's at it, but that's just like to sweeten the deal.
Yeah, why not?
Also, may I point out that this is supposed to be Dimitri's adventure, but he's completely absent up until this point.
Yeah.
No dialogue.
You may.
No first mission exposition. No nothing.
Does he even do anything in the operation?
No.
Great. Cool beans.
Pirate ship missions.
Yeah.
Yay. Although, deep sea dive.
I think Dimitri's sections are okay.
I like deep sea dive.
And only okay. I don't like the control scheme.
Yeah.
I think this game has a problem that a lot of PlayStation 2 games have, where it's coming up with new mini games for you to do instead of just sticking to the fundamental gameplay loop that works. That's one thing. Often the mini games have bad control schemes. It's actually okay here. I don't mind the Dimitri level here because it's like a lovely setting. You can kind of take it at your own pace. There are sharks and they are scary, but like you can handle it. The Dr. M level, I have less positive feeling toward, and it's down to the weird ass control scheme.
And that is me saying that that is actually breakdown content and not me being dramatic. You did post the shark glitch on your Tumblr.
Yes.
And I did want to bring this up on the podcast that actually that had happened to me.
Okay.
In the past on the original
PS2.
On the original PS2.
For those who didn't see it, when I was last playing this level, I saw a shark and the shark was spinning and it was sort of slowly rising through the water as it spun, and it rose up past the surface of the water and kept going into the sky. Like indefinitely. It never stopped, which was beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to know that I'm not alone in experiencing that wonder.
And that it's not a Sanzaru fuck up.
No, that's natural, I guess.
Yeah, I will never forget that. I was like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years old.
Wow.
And I was playing it with my best friend at the time, who also loves Sly Cooper, and we were losing our shit over it. Which, seeing it on your Tumblr was crazy.
Aw, that's good to know. That's cute.
Yeah, I fuck with Deep Sea Dive.
Okay.
Like, she's a nice little interlude.
There's much worse.
Yeah, I don't really have like any comments on the other two.
The only thing I want to say is for the Crusher level, this is the most evident. Again, I wish that we had seen a bit more Panda King, because Panda King talks like a supervillain. He talks more like a supervillain in Sly 3 than in Sly 1, when he was actually a boss.
Right.
In Sly 1, he kind of talked more like a manager. In this one, he says shit like, "Yes, beast, accept your new master." But he's on your side. So I fucking love that shit. I love hearing characters talk like that, and the fact that he's nominally a good guy, but he still phrases things in those ways is great. Shout out to the Panda King for just living life.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
What I could not get behind is this stupid operation.
Yeah. This is like the only time there's like an Ocean's 11 style cut where it looks like something went wrong, but actually it was part of the plan. Because normally the perspective is very close to the gang. So if something goes wrong, it went wrong, and you see it going wrong. That wasn't meant to happen. Sly getting quote unquote blown up, but not really, under confusing circumstances, is kind of the only place they play that card.
Honestly, as bad as this episode was, I feel like the operation could have like saved it and be like a battle of wits between Bentley and Lefwee.
Yeah.
But it's not even that.
No.
It's like such a freaking mess. It's just like convoluted and nonsensical, and exactly because the focus shifts from the gang's perspective is just like infuriating, because can you actually explain to me what the plan was?
No.
Because how does Sly survive the explosion?
How does Sly survive the explosion and then get like 1,000,000 feet in the air to paraglide over quite far, and then having achieved that, slam into Bentley and then fall off the boat and start drowning? Surely his best moment.
I'm done. And then Penelope gameplay.
I, in theory, like how Penelope gets a boss fight, because it's kind of like a throwback to Sly 2 in giving Murray and Bentley a boss fight. However, again, what's with this control scheme? Every single time I play through Sly 3, I lose this boss fight while Bentley is still explaining the controls. Penelope, under my control, is like nervously waving her sword around, and Lafouille just walks up to her and hits her once and she dies. So it always takes me a second attempt to actually get it.
Can someone give this girl a break?
They gave her a sword at least.
What the hell? It's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And then Lafouille dies.
And then Lafouille dies.
Great.
Lafouille becomes the only non-final boss to fucking die.
Deservedly so.
Yes. No one misses him.
I will not be turning up to the funeral.
No.
At least the end cutscene is iconic.
It's very cute, yes.
Carmelita not showing up. Because why the fuck would she?
Yeah. Whatever about a mining operation in the Australian outback, she legitimately has no reason to be here.
And that ends Pirates.
Pirates, the level.
I'm just so happy we're on the same page, because I didn't want to come off as a hater or anything.
No, of course
Little
not.
old me.
Yeah, I know that how much you hate hating.
Yeah, you know, I'm Miss Congeniality. I'm in my congenial era, sister. And with that is now the time to unpin the cutscene.
Not yet. In a second.
What the heck is it about that cutscene? I want to know.
You'll see. Speaking of cutscenes, very dark ending to this one. We cut back to where the framing device. Sly says some stuff about how, oh, I got so close. It's a shame. We had this wonderful team. I'm thinking about Carmelita and how I wasted all my life with her. And then the last few lines are just him dying in real time, talking about how he is overwhelmed with pain and how he just wants the sweet release of death to set in. And again, wow. Okay. This is my Blurbo and I'm 10 years old.
I mean, personally, if I was dying and my last memory was Dead Men Tell No Tales, I would also have no problem.
Yeah. What a note to end on.
Honor Among Thieves ? I'm gonna say something and tell me if you agree. I feel like this is an episode where a lot of things happen, but at the same time, nothing actually happens. There's a lot of like silly goose chase. What is it?
Wild goose chase?
Not silly goose chase. Wild goose chase. Coming from the certified silly goose himself. Wild goose chase. Yeah, it's just like preparing to enter the vault. But like that preparing sure takes a long time.
It starts very strong with the Carmelita level.
Yes.
Because at this point, a giant monster is pretty much the only thing that could keep her occupied for an hour.
Yeah.
We have the brilliant interactions between her and Dr. M. I know you have praised you harpy witch in the past.
Oh, Carmelita showing up and being met with Dr. Michael Bay, PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, just her showing up here in a tiny ass island in the middle of nowhere, like, girl, you have done it again. Constantly raising the bar for us all and doing it flawlessly.
Yeah.
But the dialogue with Dr. Michael, an exchange between a gay and a gay icon.
Yes.
Like, okay, little boy, you can stand your ground against Carmelita, which is so catty. When he calls her Madam Cop, I lose my shit every time. I'm sorry.
Just the fact that he's like, this is my house. Who are you? Like, that's, suffice to say, not something that happens a lot in Sly Cooper. Where's your warrant, lady?
Madam Cop.
Madame Cop. And she's like, you were using that genetically engineered super monster to crush that guy to death. And he was like, yeah, self-defense laws.
He's so silly, goofy. Like, for as much shit as I give him sometimes, I love him.
Again, wonderful vocal performance as well. Really elevating what's there.
And he needs braces. I will say that the intro cutscene really nicely segues into Carmelita showing up.
Yes.
Because it touches on the two main topics really nicely, which are Sly feels like he's been a coward towards Carmelita. Well, there she is. And if he'll live up to the ancestors' legacy. That's it.
Yes.
And they follow through with it.
Yeah.
After we get to the vault.
Do we want to get through the gameplay section like lightning round? Because there's Carmelita, that's fine. Then there's the Guru level, that's okay. It's a bit fiddly, but like, it's fine. Then there's the Dimitri level, which is terrible, both to play and poor Penelope having to listen to that French lizard man. She's trying to stay on topic, doing the heist. People could die, and out of nowhere, having already been placed into a love triangle of Sly and Bentley, Dimitri elbowing his way in the last hour. What are you doing?
Is this the worst mission in the series?
In terms of hearing a man say, my lips are warm like bread from the oven? Yes. Yes, it is.
In terms of gameplay?
Yeah, that's hard too.
Also, yes.
Yeah. Dr. M's speech to Dimitri isn't clear. And Penelope even has a line about, oh, why is he even bothering to talk to you? We can't hear what he's saying.
He's completely muffled. Doesn't he refer to him as like the diver?
Diver! Why are we fighting, Diver? I could give you riches. Just shut up and go away.
Honestly, like, Dr. M is such an old-ass gay, like...
Yeah.
Geriatric.
There's a nugget of something there. Dimitri is a former villain who was mostly motivated by superficial stuff. But obviously there's not much time to explore that. Especially when Dr. Maurice's dialogue is literally muffled.
It's awful. I'm sorry, it's awful. Like, I would rather play Dead Man for the rest of my life.
Ugh.
I know, but I can't. Like, this puts me off from playing this episode every single time, if not the entire game. Like, just the thought of having to deal with this shit is, like, unbearable. I'm sorry.
Do you like the Penelope mission? Because for me, that's a highlight. I actually do enjoy the bumper car shooting from the sides more than the turret. I just find it a simple and fun thing.
I used to be neutral about it, and honestly, it was such... in comparison to what we had to go through prior to that, 100%. But after my last few playthroughs, it is getting annoying to play through. So,
okay.
Again, not a huge fan. What I do not mind / lean towards liking is the plane gameplay for the island.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's all right. It's a bit hard. I got through it okay in my last playthrough. I suppose if that replaced a Panda King level, then I don't feel good about that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's that simple one-to-one.
Who cares?
I would have preferred to see Panda King do something other than tie a firework to something.
They really pay him dust.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I can tell you about the cutscene pin now. You have been patient.
Yes, please, because it's been... Yeah, please tell me.
So, all the way back in our Sly 1 episode, you said that as an adult, you kind of drifted away from Sly as a character because you stopped seeing him in purely aspirational terms and you judged him more objectively as like what he would be as a person to hang out with. And you determined that Dr. Michael Bay, PhD, has a point in calling him selfish. I think that is true. I think Sly is selfish, but I think that is a really interesting and indeed funny flaw to give to a protagonist of a story because he's right. He shouldn't think that, but actually, unbeknownst to him, he does exist in a universe that revolves around him with his face and name on the cover. So just on like some psychological level deep down, he knows that he is the most special and important boy in the universe. But less shitpostily, it makes you re-examine the events of all three games through that lens. Is that why we haven't gone on a Bentley adventure or a Murray adventure? Is that like genuinely how things play out? And my own interpretation is that Sly has what a kindergarten teacher would call a strong personality. He does drag the other two along in whatever direction he wants to go, but he doesn't necessarily realize that he's doing it. His father could have been like much worse about it and much more purposeful about it, whereas Sly is just like, we're all having a great time, unless someone points out that he's not thinking about others sufficiently. That is my read of the situation, and the reason I brought up the China cutscene is because in both versions, he's the only one having a good time on the rickshaw. Everyone else is not smiling. Murray is Sly. In the shot of them going through the markets of China, Murray is pulling the rickshaw and looks kind of stressed about it. Bentley is on the back of the rickshaw and looks very stressed about it. In the new version that adds in the other people, the Guru and Penelope also look a bit uncomfortable, and Panda King is like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we wasting time here? But Sly is having a great time, and that's all that matters.
Oh, wow.
So I think, again, I stress, I don't think it's intentional, but that doesn't preclude it from being a genuine character flaw. That, like, he doesn't always think about other people. He doesn't always kind of consider the group. Why is it called the Cooper Gang, you narcissistic scum? Long story short, I find it funny.
I love that something I said had consequences.
That's the beauty of taking notes. I wrote that down a while ago.
At this point, I don't know. I kind of, after the podcast, do find myself returning back to gravitating towards Sly, even though I do think he is a selfish person. And even though I've mentioned countless times on Tumblr how I would love to see a Bentley adventure or a Murray adventure where they try to discover their past or their lineage.
Please give us a Murray adventure. That would be so good.
Something. And also why I was so excited for Rumble Down Under last episode in terms of Murray's character development, because he's the one who chooses the adventure.
Yeah.
I don't think he does it on purpose. When I said that, like, in my adulthood, I started shifting away from Sly as a character, I did feel he might have been doing it on purpose. But in retrospect, and after a couple of more playthroughs of Sly 3 as well, and the discussion on the podcast, I do feel like what you say is true, where he's just a strong personality. He just is. And sometimes that irks other people. Some people who are less domineering just follow suit, and then once they gain like a bit more of self-awareness, like Bentley,
start to get a bit resentful.
They begin, exactly. And I didn't really want to bust open the can of worms of what Sly's dad was like during the discussion of Honor Among Thieves, because I feel like that's a bit of a trap where we could get a bit like fan
theory
fiction-y. Yeah.
I'll just say in that case that I think they absolutely played it correctly in terms of Dr. M didn't bring the receipts.
No.
He didn't conclusively prove that Connor, as he's apparently named, was evil. Sly doesn't bring conclusive receipts that Connor was actually good, and don't mind this guy, he's insane.
Yeah.
By having it be ambiguous, they land on the correct answer. Hey, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
He's dead. I'm a different guy. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Love that.
Yeah, I think that was a very mature beat to play.
Yeah. I am a fan of the notion that Connor was horrible. And I will get to that in a little bit. The only thing that I would like to say before and if it's okay with you, to get into Dr. Michael Bay as a villain.
Yes.
I would like to just mention, when we did the rapid fire prep for entering the vault, I can't help but appreciate them adopting the episode structure from Cold Heart of Hate.
That's true.
Because I think this helps build up anticipation by not having any breaks. But that being said, at the same time, Clockwork's lair was some like random location we found about last minute, whereas in Sly 3, the entire game spends its entirety working up to the infiltration of Kane Island, so not allowing us to explore it feels a bit restricting.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah.
It's a deliberate choice, but it's also like kind of restrictive.
Exactly. Dr. Michael Bay, PhD, as a villain.
Dr. Maurice Moreau.
Maurice Moreau. The biggest note that I have, which I'll mention first, even though I have written last, because it is in relation to what you brought up and the discussion about Connor, is that an aspect I love about this character is how his motivation is relatable. Because who hasn't felt jealous in their life?
Yeah.
His envy for the Coopers has consumed him. So much so that he wants to destroy Sly, even though that's not Connor.
Yeah.
And he wants what he truly thinks he's earned or deserves. And for me, what's fascinating is that with Neela and Clockwork, it's clear that they both know that they're evil. But here, Dr. Michael thinks he's the hero in the story, and that is so deeply tragic, and I love it.
I'm the victim here.
Exactly.
I'm glad that you brought up Neela and Clockwork, because one of my notes is the vastly different handling of motivation, in that motivation is generally established for the minor villains.
Right.
With only a small handful like the Contessa or Sao just being, oh, they're evil. Clockwork and Neela, they did have motivations, but like that wasn't really what they were about.
No.
In Clockwork's case, he was very mysterious, and in Neela's case, she was very like direct. Dr. M is the only final boss who is like defined by his motivation.
Right.
He's more motivation than he is anything else, and his backstory is vital, whereas Clockwork kind of doesn't have a backstory because he wouldn't benefit from having a backstory. That's an interesting change of pace. You've said it once or twice jokingly, but I think it's a genuine headcanon that we share, that he is gay.
Oh.
Like, he is legitimately
100%.
like a homosexual man. And if so, I can imagine at least one way Sly Cooper's extremely 1970s father might have not been a good friend to him.
Dr. M pulling up to like the Safehouse in like YMCA, Tom of Finland gear with vest and mustache. Guys were off to Pride.
Yes. In his prime. I genuinely like... My read of Connor is that he is very similar to Sly in a lot of ways, but he completely lacks the empathy and the warmth. Like, Sly will make a little joke about a friend, and Connor will just say horrible shit while smiling.
Oh, he was just like the jock.
Yeah, exactly. He was very because the only thing we know about him is that he smoked a pipe. So from there, it's easy to spin out that he was very archetypically masculine, a man's man. And just the fact that he would have been active in the 70s and 80s, which were very macho times, is what I read out of the situation. Whereas without his influence, his son grew up into a liberal eco-terrorist who loves to stop mining operations.
I have not yet recovered from that discussion, please. Media which shows the main character traveling back in time, take a shot, and discovers that their parent, who they've looked up to for a really long time, turns out to be an asshole. But again, it's left up to the imagination, and we just have Dr. Michael's word to go on.
And he's not reliable, which I love.
Or very convincing.
We can't... He might be right, but we can't assume that he is for obvious reasons.
No.
So that's great. I love that we don't get an objective view of the past. We only get what he tells us.
Further on in his character, I do like the idea of having him be a mad scientist that creates animal hybrids, because that has major implications on his character and his morals.
That's terrifying.
But that, also based on concept art for this episode, is never fully explored.
Again, that issue.
I do wish we had like something akin to the platforming segment in Clockwork's Lair.
Yeah.
Where he, presumably, I raised the question if he has employees in that lair because of those computers. I would love to like have explored the interior of Caney Island, but whatever. He doesn't enjoy the luxury of having his character be developed throughout the game like Neela.
That's true.
Which is something I've mentioned in the past. So once we get to Caney Island and we face against him, he's still pretty much shrouded in mystery.
It always takes me by surprise how long it takes. It's halfway through the episode before he explains that he was in the previous iteration of the Cooper Gang.
I do want to unpack this once we get to that point.
I mean, I think we are here.
But the vault is first.
Okay.
I mean, up to you.
Yeah, because he reveals it after the biplane mission.
Oh, on the whale.
Yeah, on top of the whale.
On the whale. But he elaborates in the Bentley Murray segment.
That's true.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is a very bizarre choice. And something that the prep for getting the Kane back and entering the vault could have been so easily sacrificed for the sake of.
Yeah.
The vault?
Yes. I don't think we should go any episode without praising the work of Peter McConnell. I think this might genuinely be his best Sly Cooper track, Gauntlet of the Ancestors, because it's very grand. It's taking the melody that you're familiar with and it makes it into like a finale kind of orchestral epic score, but it also has this hollow melancholy feel to it that really drives home that all of these people are dead. They just exist now as a weight on Sly's shoulders. The music really, really adds to the atmosphere in that mission.
Yeah, arguably the music does the heavy lifting for the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It is an iconic mission.
Yes, absolutely.
We're not doubting that in any way. I love how the game closes with some classic platforming.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fitting. I love listening to all the commentary from start to finish.
Yes.
On the ancestors and proceeding to destroy their shit. My question is to you, do you think it lives up to the entire game's hype?
I think so. I think it sticks the landing.
You think?
I have to say, I definitely like how it ends with a leap of faith where you come across the laser. It's not immediately clear what you do, but actually, it's obvious what you do. You jump and press the circle button. You do what you've been doing the whole time. The fact that Sly can now walk across photons, why not? As established, he already has superpowers. That's a nice little, like, end game ability to give him, I guess.
That never comes back. Take a shot. I always get, like, even a tad emotional when he talks to his dad.
Yeah. And even the fact that I know that they did it because they already established the design, quote unquote, for his father. But there is something melancholy about the fact that the portrait is unfinished and will remain unfinished forever. As though, like, he had only started to set up this section and he had planned to finish it and he didn't get a chance. Oof.
Yeah. And then that's followed with Bentley.
That's followed with Bentley says, you go ahead into the vault, that's fine. No one will be mad about it. And then as soon as Sly leaves, he says,
is mad about it.
Sly went into the vault by himself and I'm mad about it. I can see the narrative like lurching and creaking. So close.
I am frothing at the mouth right now. Our viewers cannot see us, so I am frothing at the mouth right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried. It's very disturbing to watch.
I hate the Murray Bentley segment.
I like it. Big podcast curse. Getting one in, last 10 minutes.
No. I hate it for so many reasons.
Please lay them out.
Firstly, and more importantly, if Bentley still has his doubts about playing second fiddle to Sly after getting the girl, and Sly sacrificing the king to save him,
Yeah.
and shooting them up to enter the vault with him,
Yeah.
mama, this is garbage.
Yeah. Sly did a lot of nice stuff.
So ungrateful. And at least Murray puts him in his fucking place. I love that Murray is like the clever one right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the exposition dump from Dr. M.
Yes.
Dr. Michael Bay, PhD. I think this is what defines a doctor as like wasted potential in the end. Because this concept is so fascinating and they never go anywhere with it. And this doesn't mean that they should have given us concrete proof on Connor's character. I 100% agree with you on the ambiguity.
Yes.
But I feel like they beat around the bush a lot with Dr. Michael being in a gang with Connor and McSweeney.
Yeah.
It comes way too late. And his conversation with Bentley just leaves a lot to be desired because we never get concrete proof of what ticked him off or what happened. And by this point, the player, like it's safe to say, has connected the dots. Like they know what's going on. So to have this revelation come and be like, oh my God, this is what happened. He knew Sly's dad. He was like in the gang with him. He was the Bentley. Like, it's just way too late for interesting discussion. And they could have easily put this at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. I will say, I very much appreciate that Dr. Maurice engages with Bentley in what appears to be 100% good faith.
Yeah.
Because that really sells him as a three-dimensional character with motives rather than a video game boss. He's convinced himself, like you said, he thinks he's the hero.
The hero.
And as part of that, he is very selflessly helping this younger version of himself, steering him away from making a terrible mistake. And even like the great brief exchange in the final boss when Sly asks if Dr. Moreau is going to banter with him, and the only reply he gets is, "I only talk to my equals," and Bentley said no. That's the last thing he says. But you are completely right in terms of like, there's not much space to explore this in the clockwork mission setup of the cane's over here, now get it. Oh wait, no, the cane fell down here, so go get it. Oh wait, now the cane's over there, go get it.
Oh wait, Dr. Michael's dialogue has been replaced with bubbles underwater.
We've cut what little dialogue he had.
Truthfully, I kind of like have a love-hate relationship with Michael because I feel like, again, it's really difficult to pull off a tragic character with which, even though he does some atrocious things and they are shown, you still feel compassionate to a certain degree. That's really hard to pull off.
Yes.
But for me, the idea of having this person be like the previous Bentley when all we've known are previous Sly versions is fascinating.
Yeah.
It opens the door to so many possibilities.
Sly could theoretically operate alone, but it's evident how much he relies on Bentley. So there's clearly like a niche here for someone who does the planning and the tactics and the technology. Sly would have gotten nowhere without Bentley, and they both know it.
Sly would be freaking trapped in Prague.
Yeah. I don't know if he even would have gotten that far. I think he would have gotten killed by clockwork at some point.
Relying on Bentley and Carmelita, may I add.
And also Murray is here. Murray gets some good lines near the end of this.
He does. I'll give you that.
Caveman attack!
And then,
once again, a final boss fight that is just okay.
Just okay?
Just okay, if that.
Give me Neela Turret give me, you know what? Give me Dimitri boss fight any day over this shit.
It's kind of sad that the first final boss, the clockwork fight, is
the best.
Better than Neela or Dr. M. They were never quite able to crack final bosses. Whatever else they had down.
It's like so excruciating to play through.
Yeah.
You know, last time I played it, I was just like sat there thinking, I'm an adult now and I don't have to do anything I don't want to.
I can look up the ending cutscene on YouTube. There's nothing stopping me.
Why does he control the elements?
Because he's the Avatar. Did you not catch that foreshadowing?
Tell me.
So, you know.
And the worst offense is the thing that you've mentioned with the Sly pointing out that there is no pre-boss fight banter.
Yeah.
Which they've done twice now.
Yeah.
After Neela.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, hello.
Again.
After everything you found out about Dr. Michael, you think that, like, maybe there'd be, like, some, I don't know, discussion, something.
What is nice is crawling your way through the fight as Sly and then switching to Carmelita for the last sliver of health. God, you can feel the difference. It is so cathartic and so easy to just hand Maurice Moreau, PhD, his ass playing as Carmelita compared to how Sly was like fighting for his life.
He did not have a fighting chance, Michael, after Carmelita, like, came busting in, may I add. Like, iconic.
Yes.
She kind of saves it, but not really. Like, it's not enough to save it, but she at least makes it on a sweet note.
Yes. It pulls back up a bit.
It's not just because of Carmelita, excuse me. It's because Sly coming to the full circle moment, saying that he's just Sly, is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I recently posted this on Tumblr where, like, you responded with the comment of it being a Ludo narrative, where I said that Sly's development in this game is portrayed through him embodying his ancestors, be it Thaddeus via the disguises, Henriette via the pirate adventures, Otto through the plane. Sly spent the entire series studying his ancestors.
Tennessee because he killed all those guys.
No comment. And now he's come to the conclusion that he's his own person.
Yes.
That's outstanding.
Yes.
It's really good stuff.
Yes. That, like I said, it would have been easy for them to just introduce the idea that maybe the Coopers were bad or flawed and then be like, actually, don't worry about it. The Coopers are all great. That guy's just an insane hater. Instead, they picked a much better route of Sly self-actualizing and then being able to walk away.
Because it's development on top of development. We thought he'd come a long way by completing the Thieves Raccoonus in the first game.
But that was just the start.
That was just the start, exactly. And now he's his own person. And not only is he his own person, he carves his own path moving forwards, which is not something the previous ancestors have done.
Yes. Which
ties into Carmelita's character development.
Yes. The first lie she has told in her entire life.
We both know that was eating her up.
Yeah. We're not the first people to say it. If you take it as an actual foundation for a relationship, bad. Did one of them told a lie and one of them yes-anded that with a second worse lie? Like, more than once I've thought about, like, Sly is like, I'll pretend to be amnesiac and then I'll get to be her stay-at-home husband and put my feet up. And Carmelita says, yes, you're a police officer like me. Together we fight crime in dangerous situations every day. And Sly's like, internally he's like, oh, fuck. I don't want to do that. Oh, fate worse than death.
I mean, suitable punishment for leaving the Thieves Raccoonus to Bentley.
Suitable punishment for telling a lie.
She thought I had amnesia. I didn't.
Genuinely, it's unclear. Presumably, he's lying from the very start. But, like, he could legit have had a concussion. And, like, he remembered who he was on the way home.
The thing is who the fuck cares about Sly's grasp on amnesia? Did Carmelita know that Sly was lying? Now that's the tough question.
If they both knew they were lying, they were both in on each other's lies. That's like the best case scenario. If neither of them knew the other was lying, that's the worst case scenario. So it's good that that's not what we went with canonically, because it would be absurd for someone to move in with an Interpol inspector for an undetermined length of time and keep a secret from that woman in a way that she wouldn't immediately find out because she has no personal life and she's just in cop mode 24/7. So I feel like if she didn't know on Cane Island, she would have known within about a week.
100%. And that's why I think, or at least it's my choice to believe, that she knew.
Yes.
She knew.
Because the thing is, it's what they want. As established in the opening cutscene to this episode, Sly's kind of over the whole vault thing.
Yeah.
He just wants to settle down with Carmelita. That is his goal now.
A little bit too late for that, King.
And Carmelita is presumably open to that too, because her problem has always been his living a life of crime, because she's not comfortable with that. So if they're both into it, great. If neither of them know what the fuck they're talking about, then that's going to fall apart, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also think that that is a problem that gets resolved for Carmelita even before the whole amnesia thing, because when she busts in, what the fuck does she say? No one touched my criminal apart from me or something.
Yes.
Her character development here is that she's not a blind follower of the law anymore. She is explicitly acknowledging the gray zone that Sly lives in and operates in.
Yes.
Which is also spectacular. Do you like this ending for the series? Because we're gonna get...
Yes.
The way... you can't see us right now, but Snap is so close into the camera, I think he's gonna accidentally come out of my screen. I know fully well what's coming.
I don't. I live in blissful ignorance.
I'm just like more so referring to the amnesia thing rather than the aftermath.
I kind of have mixed feelings about it to an extent.
Right.
I don't know how else I would have done it, because I think Sly deserves a retirement. He deserves a quieter life, if that is what he wishes, which apparently it is.
Okay.
And he has outstanding warrants in basically every country in the world, so you're gonna have to pull some kind of magic trick to allow him to live quietly.
Every country in the world plus Bloodbath Bay.
Plus whatever Bloodbath Bay has going on.
Plus pirates.
I think it is a bit wonky, for sure. It's a little bit logistically questionable.
Yeah.
But, like, it's ending of the trilogy. Like, everyone's gone through all this character development. It's a resolution of how Sly and Carmelita end up together. I said once that the only romances that I find myself really engaged in, and even then it's rare, is when there's like an actual logistical barrier, like here, where it's unclear. You can tell immediately that Sly and Carmelita are into each other, but they have this huge roadblock keeping each other apart. It's not immediately obvious how that is going to be resolved.
Right.
That's a lot more interesting than we both work in the same workplace, but sometimes we date other people. 10 seasons of sitcom.
Oh.
Yeah.
You basically echoed how I feel, because how else could they have done it? On the one hand, Sly is writing his own destiny and has decided that continuing his ancestors' legacy is not something he wants. Maybe this comes as a result of seeing what Connor has turned Dr. Michael into.
I'd also say, in fairness, in the course of about 3 years, he lived the fuck out of his family's legacy. He did a shit ton of things. So, like, if there's a quota, he's met it.
To the point where he hasn't even had time for himself.
Yeah, right out of high school, ... At age 18 is apparently Sly 1. And now he's like 21. And he's been doing this the whole time.
He deserves a retirement.
At 21. God, I wish that were me. True millennial icon. Retiring at age 21.
And getting married.
becoming a cohabiting. I don't know if they're getting married immediately.
Yeah, but if he doesn't get married to Carmelita, then...
Yeah.
On the other hand, though, leaving everything to Bentley feeds into the notion that he was right all along. And he wasn't. Because I hate Bentley.
Okay. But consider this. Murray is Speed Racer now.
Oh, that was so random.
Murray is Speed Racer.
Honestly, this is gonna sound so bad. This is gonna sound so bad.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, like in life, you have some things that like never stick, even though they're like pretty straightforward sometimes. Like for me, one of those things is like, which one is the spelling for dessert and which one for desert?
Right.
You know? Another thing for me is which game has Murray becoming a racer and which a wrestler? I genuinely had to look it up. Take a shot, guys. So, whatever, like, girl, I guess, do your thing. Bentley having the audacity to write, not only inherit, but write into the Thieves Raccoonus. Now, that's blasphemy, sweetheart.
That's sort of overstepping a little bit, all right. That thing should just be in a museum at this point. It's very old.
Yes. Did Sly even write in it?
He wrote in it in the 100% cutscene of Sly 1. There's a shot of him writing in it, and then he does like a cool flip off a roof. That's after you get all the pages, as distinct from after you beat Clockwork.
Not Bentley, though.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't deserve that shit. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
The fuck did he do? Yeah. I only have one note, and it's in response to...
Yes?
Something that I think you are going to say. So by all means, take the lead. Do you have anything else to say? Because I'm pretty much wrapped up.
Literally the only thing I have to say left is, once again, weird porting decision where there definitely was this I do remember, in the PS2 version, as the credits roll, Bentley narrates what happened to the Guru, the Panda King, and the Dimitri.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
in the PS3 version, he simply doesn't.
It's removed.
And it just shows you them without explaining what the fuck is happening. That was a very strange choice.
Is there no text?
There's no text.
Oh.
It's just a shot of the Guru, and then a shot of the Panda King, and then a shot of Dimitri. And there is no spoken or written words to tell you what these images mean.
Well... Okay, I guess.
Great stuff. 10 out of 10.
My last note, which was in response to something I thought that you were going to bring up, is that Bentley mentions that he wants to build a time machine.
Yes. I was so hyped for that.
I know.
I was so hyped for that. But I was so worried that it would take them too long to make a Fort Sly Cooper game, and that I'd have to buy a PlayStation 3 because the PlayStation 3 was coming out. And I didn't want to get a PlayStation 3 because the only thing on PlayStation 3 is Uncharted. And I don't care about Uncharted. I just want to play Sly Cooper. But if they don't get Sly Cooper 4 out the door really soon, it's not going to be for PS2. It's going to be for PS3. So I think I might have emailed Sucker Punch at age like 12 asking how it was going and whether I'd have to buy a PS3, and I don't believe they responded.
Well, it's safe to say those were the least of your worries in the end.
Yeah. I did end up getting a PS3.
And we all know what happens next.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm touching it with my foot. Still have it.
Is it the PS3 or is it the Thieves in Time box?
It's my PS3. My Thieves in Time box is slightly out of foot range, but it is right there.
So, since we've come at the end, what is your ranking for these games episodes?
Should I go bottom to top or top to bottom?
Bottom to top, like Dr. M to Connor.
Horrible. Trying very hard actively not to picture this image. Moving on swiftly. Number 6. Dead Men Tell No Tales. Number 5, and it does pain me to say it, as much as I like the villain, I don't love it. Like, when I picture an episode, I picture the missions, and I don't love the majority of the missions here. Honor Among Thieves. Rumble Down Under impressively crawls up to the number 4 spot purely on the back of Lemon Rage and for no other reason. And then there's like a gulf in my brain. Then we have Flight of Fancy, followed by Opera of Fear, followed by Cold Alliance.
That is a very decent list.
Thank you. I'm not getting yelled at this time.
Absolutely not. Because we almost have the same one.
Great. How's yours?
For me, from Dr. Michael to Connor, it goes at number 6, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Low-key not even deserving of a spot.
Yeah.
5, Honor Among Thieves, because it does feel lacking, / incomplete, / you chose to focus on the wrong stuff.
Right.
At number 4, Rumble Down Under. And I'm not keeping in mind what we discussed last episode for it. / what you would lighten me with. Number 3, Flight of Fancy.
Okay.
Number 2, A Cold Alliance.
All right.
And number 1, an Opera of Fear.
You did say last episode.
Yeah.
Even if Cold Alliance is the quote-unquote best one, Opera of Fear is your personal favorite.
It's just, I don't know, I have more fun playing it.
Sure.
And that's even considering that Battery of Peril is in A Cold Alliance. But yeah, that's it.
All right. We're done talking about Sly Cooper games. That's it. We talked about all 3 of them.
Well, I'm pretty sure that if any of our listeners followed the Take a Shot game, they'd be hospitalized by now. But rest assured and don't fret, because the next episode, or maybe even episodes plural,
We'll see.
Snap had this idea of like breaking down every Thieves in Time episode per podcast episode, which personally I thought was great. Please stay tuned, because something very exciting is about to happen.
God have mercy on us all.
I think that's where it should end.
Okay.